everybody, it is Julie. Welcome back to Pages and Pens. Today we are here to talk about BookTube influencers and some tea. Alright guys, so today we are going to talk about BookTube influencers. We're going to hopefully not spill any tea. I'm going to have some tea. And this is going to be a revamp of a series that I used to do all the time. Back when I started my channel, we used to be like wine chats, or like I used to sit down on a Saturday, have some wine, chit chat with you guys. Today it's going to be tea because I'm still sick as fuck. I was going to use my It's Motherfucking Tea Time mug, but it's up there and it's full of bookmarks. That tea is so hot, that cup is actually painful to hold. Today we're going to talk about BookTube influencers, and not in a bad way. We're not going to be spilling any tea. It's a total clickbaity thumbnail and title, so I'll just clear that up right now. We're going to be talking about the booktubers who have influenced me to buy books. I'm going to discuss which booktubers influenced me to buy which books, and then I'm going to let you know my thoughts about the books if I've read them. Then I'm going to go over all the things that you guys told me in an Instagram survey that I influenced you to read. This is going up after Contemporary-a-thon. I'm filming it prior to Contemporary-a-thon because I think that after Contemporary-a-thon I'm not going to want to see a camera for a little while. I do have a list in front of me. Like, I have legitimate notes today about different books that specific booktubers influenced me to pick up and to read. And I'm really, really grateful for a lot of those. So I wanted to talk about that. You guys know recommendation videos are fantastic, and I love building TBRs and building shopping lists and wish lists off of what people say that they love. For me, it's not really uncommon as a BookTube consumer for me to find books that other booktubers influence me to pick up. Obviously, a lot of those people are going to be people that I'm friends with and that I trust their opinion. I'm subscribed to all of these people, and we're going to talk about the books. Nope, not yet. I got remotely close to my lips and it's not going to happen. So we're going to start off with Cece from Chelsea Darling Reads. I will list anybody that I talk about in this video down below, so you can go and check out their channels. But the first one is going to be Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads, because you guys know I love her. We have very, very different reading tastes. She reads a lot of contemporary. She reads almost no fantasy. I read a lot of fantasy. And I think that we have a very differing opinion on what kind of contemporaries we actually enjoy and for what reasons. Sometimes we'll enjoy the same book, but for very, very different reasons. So for me, obviously, it's going to be Katrina Leno. She back here. Summer Assault, Everything All at Once, I read because of her. We also, a lot of us picked up the Kiss Quotient because of her, because she read an arc and then we used it for the book club. The Hating Game, Sally Thorne in general, I think on BookTube has become a Chelsea Darling Reads thing. I don't love that book the way that she does. In general, she definitely broadens my horizons on things that I should be reading in the contemporary genre. She also was the first person that I heard talk about Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant, saying how terrifying it was because it was about the Marianas Trench and how deep the ocean was, and that's like a fear for her. I was like, Chelsea, do you think it's like the kind of scary I can handle? She was like, I don't know, dude. I'm not so sure. So then, I mean, I dove into this. I buddy read this on, I think I buddy read it on Twitter, or I buddy read it with Amber from Amber's Books and More. Yeah, it was really fucking good. Also, probably like anything Christina Lauren. I feel like she kind of got me onto the Christina Lauren train. All right, are we ready? Yeah, we're okay. Natasha from My Reading is Odd is just a gem of a lady, but we have incredibly varying tastes. Reads a lot more horror thriller than I do, and then her contemporary picks and some of her other reads tend to not necessarily be what I gravitate towards. For like two of my closest BookTube friends, the three of us, at least me and both of them, don't read very similarly. The two of them read a little bit closer to one another, but I've gotten some really good recommendations from her. So first I will mention Taylor Jenkins Reads One True Loves, which is somewhere. I don't know my shelves yet, guys. Unfortunately, I didn't love that story. She really did, but I think it was mainly too because of the time frame that she read it in. She had just gotten married and it just broke her. But she was like the first person that I saw super talking about that post the Evelyn Hugo craze, when Taylor kind of came to the forefront of BookTube and I was hearing her name a lot. That was the second book that I heard in relation to that author, and then Natasha talking about it and really loving it definitely made me pick it up. Also, Dress Codes for Small Towns, which I have not read yet because I'm a horrible human being. Ooh, Anger is a Gift by Marco Shiro, which is here, and I can take this out. We went to BookCon and she met Marco Shiro, and it was like one of the most genuine, sweet, amazing, like experiences to witness, because it was his first convention and it was the first time that somebody had come up to him and said the kind of things that Natasha was saying to him. And so it was like a first experience for him. And then it was just this amazing experience to watch Natasha talk to him, because she was so in love with this book and with the writing, and hearing her be able to tell him that and then watch him process it for the first time, having a fan experience like that, was so amazing. If you want to know more about that, go to Natasha's BookCon vlog, because she vlogged the interaction. It was a really genuine, beautiful interaction. So this one for sure, which I'm a horrible human being and I still haven't read. Okay, while we're here, I'm just going to pull this out. Spence from Common Spence has raved about Miranda Acevedo and The Deepest Roots, and this being kind of reminiscent of his town in Kansas, and it just hits close to home to him. He loves this book. He talked about it all the time. Did not have this anywhere on my radar at all. I don't know very much about this book at all, except for the fact that Spence loves it. I picked it up because I trust his opinion, and a lot of the books that he reads and enjoys, I read and enjoy, and a lot of the contemporary that he likes, I tend to also like. I like reading books that people identify as like a slice of life from their area. I get to know you better by reading it. And I think you get to know people better by reading their favorite books. And I want to get to know Spencer better. So I'm going to read this. I don't know when again, but it will happen. And I got this purely because of him. So thank you, Spencer. Also for Spencer, which is right here behind me, can you see it? It's Timekeeper by Tara Sim. Now, Timekeeper and Chainbreaker are books that I was sent by the publishers, and then they sat on my shelves. They were not ARCs or finished copies, so I didn't have a timeline that I had to read them in. They sat there, and they probably would have continued to sit there if it hadn't been for Spencer. I think casually mentioned it in a video that he really liked the series, and I was like, oh wait, like this is a thing people actually know about? I thought it was just something random that like a smaller imprint had sent to me, and I didn't think too much about it, and then I read it, and now every time he talks about it in his videos, I'm like, F yes. I think it was like the steampunky aspect that kind of set me off, and I was like, nah, I'm not so sure about it. It's amazing. Again, I've only read Timekeeper. I have Chainbreaker. I haven't read it yet. Definitely would have continued to just let it sit on my shelves if it hadn't been for Spencer talking about that book. So thank you, Spencer. I really like that series now. Then we have just the light of BookTube, Madeleine from Novel Link. The Girl with the Red Balloon she sent to me for Christmas, and I have not read this yet. I'm nervous about this. She loves it so much that I'm totally willing to give it a try, even though it's like a World War II historical fiction, which I typically really dislike. It also says the wall keeps us in, magic gets us out. Did I not know there was magic in this? I did not know that. I think a ton of people on BookTube have read that because of her. A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Coletti, and this is one that Madeleine talked about pretty early on, but she was not wrong. She did not lead us astray, and I think that a ton of people have this on their radar because she talked about it so early on, and I am so forever grateful for that because it was beautiful, and it's an important book and a really timely book. So powerful. So thank you, Madeleine, for that book. Then Jane from It's Jane Lindsay has a couple of books that she also influenced me to pick up. Namely, I have In Other Lands. That one I believe has been pitched as like a satirical Chosen One story, and I'm here for it. It looks really great. I'm really excited about that one, and it's definitely one that would have not been on my radar, I don't think, if it hadn't been for her, because the cover has mermaids on it, and I thought it was going to be like a mermaid retelling or like a piratey story. No interest in those kinds of things, so if it hadn't been for her talking about it just on face value, I had no interest in it. So the fact that she raved about it so much and then influenced other people to read it, and then they talked about it as well, really is the reason that I put it on my wish list and it came to my attention at all. I appreciate you, Jane. Thank you so much for that. One that I think I had already owned prior to her talking about it is The Start of Me and You by Emery Lord. So this is one that I had on my radar already because I enjoyed Open Road Summer, didn't love the names they gave us, but Jane has said over and over again that this is her favorite Emery Lord. Was feeling iffy on whether or not Emery Lord was going to be an author that I could like vibe with, especially after the names they gave us. The way that she talks about this book really, really gives me hope. So I want to get to this one really soon. It's why I included it in my recommendations for Contemporary-a-thon, the video that I just did before Contemporary-a-thon. And I really do want to get to this one soon. So hopefully I can, but this is one that I definitely associate with Jane. All right, and then we've got Dylan from Dylan is Reviewing, and he is very vocal about the books that he loves, mainly Sean David Hutchinson, which is why I will mention We Are the Ants, because I definitely would not have read that without him. He wanted me to read it. He wanted everybody to read it. I think everybody read it because of him, so not bad. It's down there on my shelves. I do own it. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it, and definitely would never have picked it up without him. The Art of Starving, this has been like featured on his shelves. Like he also often does like favorite shelves tours and reassesses his favorite shelf often, and this has always kind of ended up on that favorite shelf along with my book, which I love, so thank you for that, Dylan. But this is by Sam J. Miller, and I believe this is about a boy with an eating disorder. I think, I could be wrong, I honestly don't know. He talks about it enough and I liked the cover enough that I was like, I'm gonna pick it up. I'm excited to get to it. Definitely would never have been on my radar without him, so I appreciate him for that. And then also, what else did I say? Oh, I will say Bridget Kemmermer. So she did A Curse So Dark and Lonely, which I picked up, but mainly because he had read it and then raved about it, and he's like, I don't read fantasy and I freaking loved this book, you guys should pick it up. And then he messaged me and he was like, you should probably request an ARC, and I did, and I really liked it. And then I picked this one up from Book Outlet because I wanted to read more from her, and I feel like I may not love this one because apparently there's like a miscommunication trope in this that's really heavy, and I farkin' hate that. I still want to read it. So thank you, Dylan, for Bridget. I'm gonna sneeze, aren't I? Oh no. Yeah. Then we're going to talk about Mel from Mel to the Any, and Melanie definitely convinced me to read The Bear and the Nightingale by Catherine Arden, which I did not want to read and ended up enjoying. I don't love it. I think it's got its problems, and I think it struggles from like pacing and a little bit of disjointed storytelling. I'm excited to continue with the rest of the series, but it's definitely not a 5-star read for me. Still, never would have picked it up if she hadn't raved about it over and over and over again. So I appreciate her for that. Then she also really encouraged, even though it was on my radar, she really encouraged me to pick up a lot more Asian-inspired and Asian-owned voices books. So things like Shadow of the Fox by Julie Kagawa, which I read and 5-starred and loved. Things like Girls of Paper and Fire, which is probably not an ARC I would have requested had she not been like, hey, this is on my radar, why don't you grab it, we'll buddy read it. Freaking loved it. Really great. And then things like Mirage by Somi Dowd, which we buddy read together. The Wicker King, I probably would not have picked up at all if it hadn't been for her and her book club, because Chelsea from Chelsea Darling Reads had read it and did not like it, and I was like, oh, okay, it's just like a kitschy, gimmicky format that the pages get darker and there's nothing there to really like hold it up. And then Mel picked it for her book club, and I was like, I'm interested in it enough. It's pretty. Amber got it for me for Christmas, and I read it and 5-starred it and loved it. Kay Ancrum will probably be one of my new favorite authors. Thank you, Melanie. Otherwise, I probably would have let that one sit, and I would have slept on it, and I wouldn't have read it, and I would be heartbroken because I loved it so much. Then I have Allie from Hardback Hoarder, whom I love and adore. If you guys have not checked out her most recent video, it's like a January wrap-up, which is just like a random video, but she bought a new house, she's got a library with custom shelves going in, and she's gonna get a freaking ladder. Like, she's living the Belle life, guys, and I'm so happy for her. But she definitely encouraged me to pick up I Hate Fairyland. She was like the first person I saw talking about that graphic novel, which I freaking loved. The first 2 installments. The last one was a letdown for me, but I really liked that graphic novel series, and that was all her. And then I'm going to say a couple that I haven't read yet, but I really want to. I own both of them, and that's If We Were Villains by M.L. Rio. I've heard her talk about a whole ton. Also Dark Days Club by somebody I don't know. They're right next to each other. So these are also 2 that Allie talks about a lot that I am super interested in and just haven't gotten to. This one wasn't really on my radar because like it's dark and I don't really do like super dark stuff. She loves it, and then a lot of other people started talking about it. This one I never picked up, even though the cover is so intriguing because it looks like it's a historical like period piece. Like the girl's like kind of like in Victorian clothing, which I don't really do. Then I have Amanda from A Court of Books and Love, who is a dear friend. She's a smaller booktuber, but she's phenomenal. You should go check her out. She reads a lot of manga, I never know how to say that. She's always doing some kind of a readathon, always doing reading sprints and stuff. And she's just a fantastic, I like her a whole bunch. So she definitely encouraged me to pick up Daughter of a Pirate King, which we got in an Owl Crate box and I just had no interest in. And then she read it and was like, it's actually really fast and really cute. I read it. It was really fast and really good. I liked it. I don't read a ton of pirate novels, so I don't have a ton to compare it to, but I really enjoyed that book. And then I will say that she also encouraged me to pick up any kind of manga. So I have some Labyrinth manga. I read Orange. I've since unhauled it just because it's not, I don't enjoy it. I don't think manga is necessarily for me. I tried it because of her. And then I have Kayla over at Literature Reads, and she's just the sweetest of sweethearts. And she encouraged me to try historical romance again, which again, not my thing. But she gifted me a couple Tessa Dare books. She gave me The Duchess Deal and The Governess Game. I read The Duchess Deal. I still have to read The Governess Game. Like, I really want to get to it. I won't be doing it for Contemporary-a-thon, which is already past at this point, because it's historical. It's not contemporary. Freaking really liked Tessa Dare, so way to go, Kayla, or else I would have never picked that up. Also, I'm going to say Small Spaces by Catherine Arden, which came on my radar because of Mel from Mel to the Any, because it's the same author as The Bear and the Nightingale, and Melanie really liked this book. The reason why I decided I really wanted to read it was because of Kayla. Kayla talked about it and said that it was a book that she thinks most closely resembles her, that she relates to the most, and that she connected with the most. And similarly to what I said about Spence with The Deepest Roots, I think that reading books that people say they identify with that heavily is a great way to get to know them better. So thank you, Kayla. Maddy from The Book Pusher, definitely, I mean, like, here's the thing. Maddy loves some books that I feel like were definitely already in my radar. They're already on the BookTube wheelhouse. I was seeing them a lot. But I do think that the way she speaks about them specifically is the reason why I went ahead and picked them up. So things like Nevernight by J. Kristoff, which, like, is not inherent to Maddy. The way that she talks about it, the way she talks about Mia and the series definitely made me a lot more intrigued to picking it up. And then now I'm caught up on the series, and I've got Dark Dawn pre-ordered in like the Waterstones freaking sprayed pages. Like, I paid a shit ton of money for the last book of a series that I don't even know if I really liked that much, because I liked Nevernight. I 5-starred the shit out of that. And then I like 2-starred God's Grave, didn't like it. It might have been 3 stars. I'm really hoping he wraps it up and brings it back around in Dark Dawn, and I'm putting a lot of faith in that because, like, I'm buying, like, a special edition version up, which is ridiculous. Anyway. Then also City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty, which is up here. It's just out of view. And that's another one that's just all over the place, and people are definitely talking about it, but the way that she speaks about it specifically, I was like, all right, I don't need another tome on my shelves, but, like, I'll put it on there. I haven't read it yet, so I can't speak to it. Thanks for that one, Maddy. Really quickly, because it did make my Contemporary-a-thon TBR, I'm going to say Juliet Takes a Breath, and that was definitely influenced by Cece from Problems of a Book Nerd, who really does bring a lot of, like, LGBTQIA+, specifically female, diverse contemporaries to my radar. Thank you for that. She'll be listed down below. And then my last one is going to be Chelsea from Chelsea Palmer, and for her it's going to be The Reader by Tracy Chee, which ended up on a TBR of books that my booktuber friends picked for me, and I read it and loved it. It's one that I'd seen on Book Outlet a lot. It's an older one, and I just had never thought about it before. And then she was like, no, it's really good. You should give it a shot. And I really enjoyed it. So if it hadn't been for her kind of pushing me to pick that one up, I definitely don't think I would have. I appreciate that so much. And now she's just so phenomenal. She texts me all the time and she's like, did you see this cover? Did you see this book? This is coming out. And I was like, I know. It's so amazing to, like, have somebody to, like, geek out with on covers. Like, when Jen Bennett announced that she's doing, like, a historical Vlad the Impaler fantasy kind of a book as opposed to, like, her regular contemporary, she, like, immediately texted me. She was like, have you seen that this is happening? I was like, oh yeah, girl. I was like, I already tweeted Jen. Like, I'm freaking out. So thank you for that. And that's going to be it for all of the books that I feel like I could look through my shelves and, like, distinctly pinpoint people that had encouraged me to pick it up. There's things that I probably have picked up in ebook or from my library that were also influenced by other people. There's definitely a ton of things that I have heard a lot of people talk about and then gone and specifically buddy read, where I identify a book with a certain person, but it's not like I didn't pick it up specifically because of them. These are books that I specifically picked up and wouldn't have otherwise because of specific people. Those are my specific BookTube influencers, also the tea. The beautiful thing about BookTube is that you get these amazing recommendations and things end up on your radar that wouldn't have otherwise. Some people view that as a negative thing and kind of feeding consumerism, but there are so many ways to consume books. There's so many avenues to acquire if you are in an area like me and privileged enough like me to have a great library system where you can get it for free, or to just bookshare or support local like used bookstores to find these books. And I know that you guys are always like, oh, my TBR is getting so much longer, you're talking about all these amazing books. I get it. I know it's hard. I'm a BookTube consumer too, so I watch the same videos you do and I feel the same way you do, and my TBR grows too, but it grows out of joy. And I think at a certain point you realize the things that you know you're going to enjoy versus not enjoy, and you get a little bit more selective about what you let sway you. So I'm glad that some of these push me outside of my comfort zone. I'm glad I let the opinions of my friends sway me to pick up books that I might not have otherwise. But if something's truly outside of my wheelhouse, I'm not going to pick it up. Melanie has said many times that she wants to see what I think about Spinning Silver, knowing that I hated Uprooted. And I will never pick up another one of her books. It's just never going to happen. You put your foot down when you need to, and then you add to your TBR where you want to. And that's just the way this works, right? I think so. So now we're going to get into another fun part. Well, I thought it was really fun, and that was me asking you on Instagram which books I had influenced you to read. And I'm not overly surprised by a lot of the answers. Some of them were pretty clear. I think that you guys could probably guess like the big ones. Some of them were a little bit shocking. Some of them people had only said, like one or two people had said a specific book. I'm going to go through everything that was put on there, and then I tallied up how many people said something. A lot of people said more than one book. Some people just said one. Some people said just hard-hitting contemporaries in general. Like they gave like general themes. Other people said just all of your book club books. So they didn't give a specific title. If you agree with these, or if you have something different that didn't end up on this list, or you just want to add your tally to my number marks, definitely let me know down below if I've influenced you to read anything, and then what other booktubers have influenced you to pick up a book that you then love that you definitely wouldn't have otherwise. I'm always interested in that. So let's go over my numbers. I'm just going to go in order. I'm not going to go in like order of highest to lowest. I'm just going to go in what I have on this list. It's easier for me, and that's the way my brain's working right now. So 6 different people said the Wayward Children series by Shauna Maguire, which is freaking awesome. I'm surprised-ish that that's what people chose to say in the survey, just because I talk about it. I love it. It's an amazing series, and I'm super stoked on it. I feel like I don't talk about it a ton. So that was really cool to hear that people associate that one with me. A couple people, 4 people said The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender, which I want to be more. So if you haven't read that yet, definitely go and read it and then come back and tell me you read it because of me, and I'm going to add you to this list because I want that number to be way higher. It's a really good book. It does come with trigger warnings. Check out my Goodreads review if you want to know what ones they are. My Goodreads is always listed down below, and you can check out my my Goodreads review of that there. Unsurprisingly, 45 people said The Wicked Deep, 46 specifically. I rounded down. I don't know why. Are we surprised? I think not. I don't think anybody is particularly shocked by that. A lot of people read The Wicked Deep because of me, and I am not mad about it. Here's one that does surprise me, because only 4 people said Strange Grace, which, can you see it? You can't. It's right out of view. Only 4 people said Strange Grace by Tessa Gratton, which I feel like I also really raved about, but that's okay. Wicked Deep was the highest. I'm fine with The Wicked Deep being the highest because I really, really love it. But Strange Grace, I even said in my like best books of 2018 that they were 1 and 2. Wicked Deep being 1 and Strange Grace being 2. I think that Strange Grace is a better book. I put Wicked Deep 1 because I super love it despite its flaws, but I super love Strange Grace and I don't see any of those flaws. Do with that what you will. Strange Grace is a better book. Maybe go read Strange Grace by Tessa Gratton for me. This Adventure Ends. 13 people. It felt like that was low. Instagram surveys are not like a universal thing here. Like not everybody watches my Instagram surveys. Maybe not everybody watches my Instagram stories on that specific day. It's not a cohesive number here, guys. I know a lot of people read This Adventure Ends because of me. That's fine. I'm okay with it. And then only 16 people said The Serpent King. Again, larger numbers for this specific survey. The Wicked Deep, This Adventure Ends, and The Serpent King were my highest, which is unsurprising to me. One person read The Duchess Deal because of me. One person read An Enchantment of Ravens because of me. I'm fine with both of those. Also, somebody read Spellbook of the Lost and Found because of me, which thank you, because that is phenomenal. They're all really great books, and I'm really glad that you read those because of me. Here's one that made me straight up laugh out loud. And I guess I never think about this because it is such a widely known, loved, and hyped book that the fact that I would be the one to influence you to finally pick it up, like, never dawned on me. But 4 people said The Cruel Prince. Like, it's so universally accepted that, like, people just read The Cruel Prince that I never would have considered that somebody picked up The Cruel Prince because they heard me talking about it. Thank you for that. Like, it was pretty eye-opening for me because I just assumed that it was such a huge title that, like, everybody knew about it. It wouldn't be because of me. Everybody just read that. So that was kind of cool. Into the Drowning Deep. 6 people specifically said that they read Into the Drowning Deep because of me. I think Heather from Bookable said that she got it. She hasn't read it yet, but she got it because of me, which is like crazy sauce to me. But yeah, so thank you. I'm really stoked that you guys are picking that one up. I hope you like it as much as I did. It is such a just departure from what I normally read, but I really, really love it. The Strange and Beautiful Stars of Abel Lavender. Oh, it's down here again. So up that number by 1. And then Jen Bennett, in parentheses, all, one person said, and then a couple other people said specific Jen Bennett books. So I'm glad that I'm pointing people towards Jen Bennett. If you're not reading Jen Bennett contemporary and you're a fan of contemporary, freaking read it. It is sex positive, diverse, they're all amazing, they're richly woven, and I'm really stoked for her next book adventure, which, like, anything she puts out I'm gonna read. 2 people said Stargirl. 1 person said The Girl in 6E, which is awesome. 4 people said The Hollow series by Kim Harrison, which makes my heart happy because you guys know I love the Hollow series, as opposed to things like The Wicked Deep, This Adventure Ends, and Serpent King, which are like one-offs. Influencing somebody to pick up like a 15-book series is a lot harder. So I talk about the Hollow series a lot. I'm not surprised not as many people have picked it up though. And then one of the things that also surprised me, much like the Cruel Prince, was Nevernight. 3 people said Nevernight, which is not what I would have assumed because it's such a backlist title. But I guess it was people that joined me with the buddy read, which is kind of cool, but also really random, but yay, I think. 1 person said Vicious. Again, huge backlist title that I really wouldn't assume like I had influenced somebody to read, but I think that's awesome. I guess I just assume I'm so late to the game on those things that you guys aren't picking them up because of me. But apparently you are. 1 person said The Smell of Other People's Houses. 1 person said Six of Crows. Another huge title that I didn't think I would influence, but that's okay. All the Ugly and Wonderful Things, 1 person said. It's one that I talk about a lot. It's up here on my favorite shelf. I really enjoy it. It's super problematic and really, really troubling and hard to read. I really liked it. Strange the Dreamer, 1 person said, and The Hazelwood, 1 person said. I'm in the minority maybe on BookTube where I really liked The Hazelwood. Strange the Dreamer I absolutely love. If you picked it up because of me, that's freaking phenomenal. I am very proud of that. And then I had 2 people who said A Heart in a Body in the World by Deb Coletti, which I read because of Madeleine from Novel Inc. So if anybody is reading that because of me, because of her, then I love that that chain has continued and that you guys are finding that book because it's a really important one. I'm really, really glad that that's one that a couple people have picked up because of me. And then 3 people said The Female of the Species, which I thought was super random. I mean, it's up here. It's on my shelf of my books that I've read. I talked about it in a wrap-up just randomly. So I'm really surprised that that's one that kind of stuck out enough to people that 3 people said it. I don't think it's really made too many like favorites lists or too many different tags or things where I've had reason to pull it out and talk about it. So I'm pretty impressed that many people felt compelled enough to pick it up. It's a really difficult one. I liked it a lot. That was everything for the books that I have influenced you guys to read and the books that I have been influenced in turn by other people to read. So that has been the entirety of my BookTube Influencers and Tea discussion. I really like these kind of laid back, just kind of chit chat with you videos. I'm going to try to do more of them. It was one of my things that I really wanted to kind of get back to, that I really enjoyed when I first started my channel, was just having like a more casual sit down chit chat video that's going to be a little bit longer, but kind of just goes over things that are going on. If you have something that somebody else influenced you to read or I influenced you to read, definitely leave it in a comment down below. I'm super interested in just the whole topic. That's been it for this one. If you guys liked it, be sure to give me a big thumbs up, click subscribe, and I will see all of you in my next video. Bye guys.